evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Group 1 TV. I'm Ahmad Kasfi, your host for today. For the introduction, we are going to cover a newspaper article on issue of bid rigging. For the summary, according to chosen newspaper article, the Malaysia Competition Commission (MyCC) is investigating 500 companies suspected of being involved in rigging the bidding process of contracts worth 2 billion ringgit across industries, with 43% of total cases involving the construction industry. Ministry of Finance, Head of Government Procurement Policy Section, Ahmad Fauzi Sungip, also confirmed the case with the edge on the sidelines of the conference, and he added that the issue may interrelate with corruptions. Fauzi also added that the government has built a brand new in-house award-winning system called Cartology to effectively detect possible bid rigging from documents sent through e-procurement channels. In narrow scope, bid rigging occurs when businesses that will otherwise be expected to compete secretly conspire to raise prices or lower the quality of goods or services for purchasers who wish to acquire products or services through a bidding process. Example of bid rigging is cover bidding, bid suppression, bid rotation, and market allocation. All of you must be wonder what is the MyCC, recalled as Malaysian Competition Commission. Its role is that its enrollment to enforcing the Competition Act 2010 and issue guidelines in relation to the implementation and enforcement of the competition laws, and it acts as mediator or advocate in competition matters, particularly regarding government procurement. And lastly, it protects the public interest.
Bad rigging can happen because the assigned officer is untrustworthy and irresponsible, and the officer is also given a lot of reward so they don't think bad things will happen in the future. Corruption is also the main factor in the occurrence of bid rigging. This corruption issue arises when one party pays a bribe to obtain the benefit or help from someone and parties who have control or influence. Corruption also involves the relationship between the parties is from vertical barrier. It is called as a corruption. On the other hand, if the relationship is from a horizontal barrier and the bid rigging must involve a group of consensual parties, where the parties conspire to win the tender non-competitively. In addition, bid rigging also have several types, namely hidden price, suppressive bids, and bids withdrawal. Every type of bid rigging can have a negative impact on country economies. Ministry of Finance, MOF, Government Procurement Policy Heads Ahmad Fauzi Sungip says so far 500 companies are being investigated for possible collusion. I can say they are quite experienced companies. This bid rigging issue often happens, such as the case of Pest Buster in Singapore. The Competition Commission of Singapore issued its first decision in violation of the Competition Act against 6 pest control companies for conducting the bid rigging in the provision of control service and treating termite damage. Pest control companies have already provided pest control services to a client, request that other company submit bids at certain price to ensure they don't win. Other company have chosen to agree the request or submit a higher bid. A penalty of 260,000 Singapore dollar was imposed on the companies. That this can be said to be a type of convert price bid rigging.
Now we're going to the next part, which are theory. Theory that we have found, which is public procurement. Public procurement can be defined to the process by which public authority such as government department or local authority has purchased work, goods or service from company. In Malaysia, the objective of government procurement is to support government program by obtaining value for money through acquisition of work, supply and service. In the public procurement in Malaysia, there exist 5 principles, which are public accountability, transparency, value for money, open and fair competition, and fair dealing. For the first principle of public procurement, which are public accountability, obviously, procurement should reflect the public accountability entrusted to government. Next, transparency. All procurement regulation, condition, procedure, and process need to be clear and transparent to facilitate better understanding among supplier and contractor. Third, value for money. In terms of quality, quantity, price, and source, government procurement should provide the best value for every Malaysian ringgit spent. Fourth, open and fair competition. Every government procurement process should provide fair and equitable opportunity to all people who participate or compete in any procurement. Lastly, fair dealing. All acceptable offer must be treated fairly in accordance with current rule, regulation, and procedure. As we can see from this newspaper issue, the company who are involved with bid rigging has breached two of public procurement principle, which is fair dealing and open and fair competition principle. The official should be fair that he or she should not have any close relationship with the contractor. As mentioned from MYCC Commissioner Datuk Jadi Sin Ban Sin said MYCC has received many complaints on the matter with government sector making up the bulk of complainants. Furthermore, value for money principle. When Ministry of Finance, Head of Government Procurement Policy Section, Ahmad Fauzi Songit had said that the last year GDP figure was about 1.5 trillion, but the government procurement in Malaysia collected around 160 billion. It means that the figure from GDP is not achieved the expectation. It did not fit the needs for public procurement principle, but should provide the best value for every Malaysian ringgit spending. That's all from me. Thank you.
The first recommendation is to detect bid rigging through developing a screening system. Bid rigging screening system is a software that provides a proactive approach in detecting potential bid rigging activities. It is also tests procurement data from government agencies against certain criteria to detect potential bid rigging activities. For example, in 2006, the Korean Fair Trade Commission KFTC developed the bid rigging indicators analysis system, which is BIAS, to help detect bid rigging. BIAS collect online public procurement data concerning large-scale contracts awarded by central and local administration within 30 days of the contract award. For instance, higher rates of successful bids and lower number of participating companies are indicative of a possibility of collusion. All bids are also screened according to search criteria like the name of the winning candidate or bids with similar scores.
Another recommendation is to prevent bid rigging by encouraging adherents to use e-procurement system and to make direct negotiation unlawful. E-procurement system is a system where organizations use internet to procure goods and services it needs to operate. The digitalization of procurement processes strengthen the internal anti-corruption controls and also detect integrity breaches. However, the system can be manipulated by the government cartels using officials in several departments. For example, even though there is e-procurement system, we still have direct negotiation with companies. It appears to be legal, but it involves manipulation, and those involved make a lot of money from the activity. Thus, the government must make a new law making direct negotiations unlawful and encourage companies to adhere to e-procurement system only.
In conclusion, bid rigging can be particularly harmful if it affects public procurement. Such conspiracy take resources from purchaser and taxpayer, and this thing will give a cost to the community, which is it will diminish public confidence in the competitive process and undermine the benefit of a competitive marketplace. Actually, this thing indirectly has give a big loss to the country, which is lead to the increasing of corruption and abuse of power. Last but not least, the recommendation given were assumed as a most effective way in order to prevent this issue before became more serious in the future. This thing was shown by the other country in the world, which is they have got positive impact towards their country when they practice the method in order to prevent the bid rigging issue.